Picture this: the ink on the paper, a trembling hand, and 1,000 flashbulbs exploding like fireworks. One young man, barely old enough to rent a car, about to sign a deal worth millions and change the fate of one of football's greatest clubs. Tonight, we're not just talking transfers. We're stepping inside a storm where destiny, doubt, and dreams collide. This is the story of Baleba, and the moment he finally became Manchester United's own. You hear the chants first, the unmistakable hum of Old Trafford, carried on the wind like an anthem older than time. It's not match day, not yet. But the streets are buzzing. Every pub, every barber shop, every corner of Manchester whispers the same name, Baleba. Who is he, really? A rising star from Lille, a midfielder with steel in his spine and fire in his boots. But in this moment, he's more than just a player. He's a gamble. A hope. A symbol that the red half of Manchester might just roar again. The story doesn't begin under the stadium lights. It begins in Lille. A quiet evening, cafes spilling laughter into cobbled streets, but one corner table is cloaked in silence. Baleba sits there, hoodie pulled low, headphones pressed tight, trying to drown out the noise outside and the storm inside. His phone vibrates. His agent again. He knows the call could change everything, but he lets it ring a moment longer, sipping his coffee, steadying his breath. Manchester has been circling for weeks. Scouts at matches. Men in suits appearing in the stands, scribbling notes with eyes fixed on him. Rivals clubs circling too, whispering offers. But Manchester United, that name carries a different weight. It isn't just money. It's legacy. It's pressure. It's the ghosts of legends standing in the tunnel with you every time you lace your boots. In Manchester, boardrooms glow with fluorescent light long after midnight. Ten Hag paces, his jaw tight. Directors shuffle papers, numbers flashing across screens. 5 years? One voice says. 100,000 per week for someone this young? Doubt fills the air. But Ten Hag cuts through it with a voice like steel. If we don't take risks, we'll never rise again. He's not just a player. He's the spark. Phones ring. Flights are booked. Across the channel, Baleba feels the shift in the wind, though he cannot see the storm gathering. He doesn't know that men in suits are already preparing contracts, or that Old Trafford is already preparing his name to echo in chants. He only knows that something is coming. The next morning, the whispers grow louder. Fans in Lille ask for selfies, but their eyes carry curiosity, not just admiration. Are you going? Is it true? He forces a smile. But inside, doubt rages. Leave the comfort of Lille, the city that made him, for Manchester, the lion's den of world football? 100,000 euros a week sounds like a dream, but with dreams come shadows. The shadow of expectation, his family calls. His mother's voice cracks over the line. Are you ready, my son? This is more than football. This is a new life. He doesn't answer right away. Because truthfully? He doesn't know. Meanwhile, United fans online are already in a frenzy. Forums flooded with speculation. Some say he's the next midfield rock, the answer to years of inconsistency. Others scoff, another gamble. Another youngster will burn out. The digital world crackles with hope and cynicism, both sharpening the pressure on shoulders not yet tested under the weight of Old Trafford. Negotiations begin. London hotels, closed curtains, plates of untouched food on polished tables. Agents argue numbers, lawyers circle details. Baleba sits in the corner, silent, the noise around him rising like a storm he can't control. He hears words: release clause, 5 years, weekly wages, but they blur into static. What matters is the feeling in his chest, a mix of fear, pride, and the crushing thought that this decision will shape not just his career, but his life. Manchester pushes. Rival clubs whisper counteroffers. His phone buzzes with messages from teammates, from old friends, some cheering him on, some warning him. United will eat you alive if you're not ready. He closes his eyes and imagines Old Trafford, the roar of 70,000 voices, his name on their lips. The image makes his pulse race. It also makes his stomach twist. The night before the decision, he can't sleep. He walks the streets of Lille, hood up, hands deep in pockets, replaying every choice that led him here. From the dirt pitches of his childhood to the bright lights of League One. Every step felt like a climb. But this feels like standing at the edge of a cliff, about to leap, and then morning comes. The car arrives. The drive feels endless. He barely notices the scenery as France fades behind him and England draws near. His heart pounds with every mile. In his bag, a pen waits. Just a pen, and yet it feels heavier than stone. He steps into the room. Cameras outside, journalists circling, but in here it's just silence, the shuffle of papers, the nods of men who hold his future in their hands. The contract lies before him. 5 years. 100,000 euros per week. A lifetime of pressure condensed into ink and paper. His hand trembles as he picks up the pen. For a moment, he hesitates. He hears his mother's voice. He hears the doubts of critics. He hears the roar of Old Trafford in his imagination. And then, with a steady breath, he presses the tip to the page. The world explodes. Cameras flash, agents exhale, phones buzz across continents. Baleba has signed. Manchester United has its man, but as the ink dries, a deeper truth lingers in the air like smoke. Signing the contract wasn't the end of the story. It was only the beginning. The car ride from Lille to the airport had felt endless, but the flight to Manchester is over in the blink of an eye. His thoughts chase themselves in circles, looping faster than the turbines outside the window. He presses his forehead against the glass, staring into the clouds, but all he sees are questions. Will they love me? Will I fail? What if I'm not enough? The kind of questions no contract clause can answer. Manchester greets him not with sunshine, but with drizzle. The kind of grey rain that clings to the city like a coat it refuses to take off. The driver waiting for him offers a polite nod, but outside the tinted windows fans have already gathered, phones raised, shouts piercing through the mist. He isn't even in the shirt yet, but already his name rides the air. Baleba. Baleba. Baleba, the hotel suite is pristine, untouched, too perfect to feel real. He drops his bag and sits on the edge of the bed, staring at the skyline he can barely see through the fog. His phone buzzes endlessly, texts from family, from friends, from teammates back home who are half proud, half jealous. Messages from strangers too, some calling him a hero, others calling him overrated before he's even stepped on the pitch. He turns the phone face down. The silence of the room is louder than the noise outside. The next morning, it begins. The cameras. The staged photos with scarves held high. The endless interviews where every question sounds the same but carries the weight of expectation. Why United? Why now? Can you handle the pressure? Do you understand what this badge means? He answers politely, carefully, but inside each question hammers at him. Because he knows words are easy, but the grass doesn't lie. The pitch will tell the truth soon enough. Training ground, Carrington. The gates slide open and his chest tightens. Legends have walked here. Failures too. The first session feels like stepping into another world. The pace is brutal. The intensity suffocates. Every pass is judged, every touch dissected by eyes sharper than scalpels. Senior players watch him closely, some curious, some protective, some skeptical. He feels it in the way the ball is given to him, the way challenges come in just a touch harder. A welcome, but also a test. That night he lies awake replaying every moment. The misplaced pass. The tackle he pulled out of. The flash of praise when he threaded a perfect ball between defenders. He clings to that one moment, hoping it's proof he belongs. But doubt still presses heavy. Tomorrow, it will be another test. And the day after, another. The media storm rages louder than the Manchester rain. Headlines scream his wages. His age, his promise. Pundits debate him as if he's a puzzle piece that will either fix United or prove their folly once again. Some voices call him the future. Others dismiss him as another overhyped youngster drowning in Old Trafford's floodlights. Every word reaches him, whether he admits it or not, and then comes the unveiling. Old Trafford. The theater of dreams. He walks out, scarf raised, the pitch under his boots for the first time. The stadium isn't full, but the sound is deafening all the same. Cameras flash, chants rise, a tidal wave of red and white engulfs him. For a second, he feels 10 feet tall. But in the very next breath, the pressure of that adoration feels crushing. These people don't just want a player. They want a savior. He looks up at the banners, the names immortalized in history. Cantona. Giggs. Scholes. Ronaldo. And now, one empty space in the air where maybe, just maybe, his name could one day belong. If he survives. If he proves worthy, the first match looms closer, and tension coils inside him like a spring wound too tight. Training sharpens him, but also exposes him. Coaches bark instructions, teammates demand intensity. The ball moves faster than it ever did in France. Mistakes are punished instantly. The ball moves faster than it ever did in France. Mistakes are punished instantly. Praise is rare, fleeting, but when it comes, it ignites him like fire. On the eve of the match, he calls his mother again. Her voice is steady now, stronger. "You were born for this," she says. "Do not fear the noise. Fear only giving less than your heart." Her words ground him. For a moment, the storm quiets. He whispers back, "I'll fight." Match day. The roar of Old Trafford is unlike anything he has ever heard. The tunnel shakes with the chants, the smell of grass and adrenaline mixing into something primal. He steps out, the jersey clinging to him like destiny itself. The referee's whistle slices the air and suddenly it's real. The ball comes to him early. His first touch is heavy, nerves buzzing through his boots. A groan from the crowd cuts him like a blade. But then, minutes later, the ball returns, and this time his pass splits two defenders like silk. The crowd rises. A murmur becomes a cheer. He breathes again, the game is war. Every tackle a battle, every duel a test. He feels the weight of the badge on his chest with every sprint. By halftime he is drenched in sweat, lungs burning, but he refuses to break. United are level, and whispers in the stands question if the gamble was worth it. He walks back onto the pitch with fire in his veins, and then it happens. The ball breaks loose in midfield. He dives in, wins it cleanly, surges forward. The crowd rises with him. One pass, another, and suddenly the attack is alive. The goal comes seconds later, not by his boot, but born from his spark. Old Trafford erupts. Teammates slap his back. The commentator's voice cracks with excitement. It's Baleba, the new boy, making things happen. For the first time since the pen touched paper, he feels it, belonging, but as the final whistle blows, victory in the air, he knows this is just the beginning. Because one good match can crown you, but one bad match can crucify you. And Manchester is a city that remembers both. He walks off the pitch, the applause ringing in his ears, but in his heart a shadow lingers. He has won the night. But can he win the war? The glow of that first match still lingers in the papers the next morning. His name splashed across headlines, his picture plastered on back pages. Baleba's bright beginning. The praise feels sweet, intoxicating even, but beneath it, he knows better. Manchester doesn't fall in love easily, and it doesn't forgive easily either. At training the next day, the reality hits. Teammates clap his back, a few offer quiet words of encouragement. But others? Their smiles don't reach their eyes. He feels it in the tackles. A fraction harder than necessary, in the silence when he calls for the ball. Football isn't just about talent, it's politics, egos, hierarchies. He is the newcomer, the young one with the big wage packet, and some resent it. He learns quickly to keep his head down, to let his feet do the talking. Day after day, session after session, he grinds. Early mornings, late nights. When the others leave, he stays behind, driving passes into empty nets, running sprints until his lungs scream. Coaches notice. They whisper approval. But approval is fragile here, the next match is crueler. The opponent presses hard, suffocating him, and suddenly the freedom he felt at Old Trafford vanishes. Every touch seems wrong, every decision too slow. The groans grow louder. Commentators question his confidence. By halftime, doubt has clawed its way back into his chest. In the locker room, Ten Hag's eyes find his. Not with anger, but with steel. "This is Manchester United," the manager says flatly. "We don't hide. You're here because you can carry the weight. Show it." Baleba nods, the words burrowing into him, burning away the fear. The second half isn't perfect, but it's better. He wins tackles, chases every ball, lifts his head when others drop theirs. The crowd notices. Not brilliance, not yet, but fight. And at Old Trafford, fight is half the battle. Still, the papers are merciless the next morning. Baleba struggles. Was he worth the price? The numbers of his contract are written like a curse next to his name. 100,000 a week. For a young man still learning how to breathe in the Premier League storm, it feels like a chain around his neck. Nights become long. He stares at the ceiling of his apartment, the city lights flickering against the walls, and the doubts creep in. Did he come too soon? Was he ready? What if he fails, not just himself, but the millions who chant his name? But then, there are moments that remind him why he came. A sudden roar when he wins a crunching tackle. A young fan outside Carrington holding up a sign with his name scribbled in red marker. A message from his mother, just a voice note, saying, "I am proud, no matter what." Those moments steady him, anchor him in the storm. Weeks pass. Matches blur together. Some good, some brutal. He learns that in England, every game feels like a final. No easy opponents, no soft challenges. His body aches in ways it never has before, but he hardens. Each scar is a lesson. Each bruise a reminder that he belongs to something bigger now. Then comes the twist. A story leaks to the press. Rumors of unrest in the dressing room, whispers that some veterans resent his wage packet. That jealousy brews in shadows. Reporters circle like vultures. His name is dragged into headlines not for goals or passes, but for division. He reads the stories with a pit in his stomach. At training, he feels the stares. One senior player mutters under his breath, "Just loud enough, earn it, kid." The words sting sharper than any tackle. He doesn't reply. Not with words. He replies with effort. With sweat. With the relentless determination to prove he's not here for the paycheck, but for the fight. And slowly, cracks begin to mend. A captain's nod after a hard sprint. A smile from a teammate after a perfectly timed interception. The walls of doubt don't fall in one day, but brick by brick, he chips away. The season grinds on. Some nights he shines, threading passes that split defenses like glass. Other nights he drowns, mistakes piling up, critics sharpening their knives. But through it all, one truth anchors him: he signed not just for money, not just for glory, but to test himself against the weight of history. And then, a night comes that changes everything. A derby. United against City. The city split in red and blue, tension thick enough to choke. For days the press feasts on the narrative. Can the new boy handle it? Or will he crumble under the brightest lights? The stadium is electric. The whistle blows, and from the first minute, it's chaos. City dominate possession, their passes slicing like knives, but Baleba digs in. He presses, he tackles, he claws at every inch of space. By halftime, his legs feel like lead, but his spirit refuses to break. In the second half, a moment arrives. The ball breaks loose in midfield, and in a blur he's there, sliding in, winning it clean. The crowd erupts. He rises, charges forward, slipping a pass into space that splits the City defense. Seconds later, the net ripples. Old Trafford explodes. The noise shakes the ground, a roar that feels like it could split the night sky. His teammates mob him, not for the goal, but for the spark. For the fight. For proving he belongs. The match ends in victory, the red half of Manchester roaring into the night. Baleba walks off the pitch, drenched, exhausted, but alive in a way he's never felt before. For the first time, the weight on his shoulders feels lighter, not heavier, but as he steps into the tunnel, he knows this truth: the storm is never gone. At Manchester United, the pressure never sleeps. One game can crown you, the next can crucify you. And this contract he signed, the ink that made him rich and bound him to history, is not protection. It is a promise. A promise that he must now fight every single day to keep. He breathes deep, letting the roar of the crowd echo in his bones one last time, and whispers to himself, "This is only the beginning." The season rolls on, and with it the grind. Matches come fast, training never eases, and the weight of the badge never loosens its grip. Baleba learns to live inside the storm, to sleep with the roar of doubt outside his window, to wake with the fire of expectation already burning. His body hardens. His mind sharpens. The boy from Lille is becoming something else entirely. But destiny is never a straight line. One winter night, under freezing rain and blinding floodlights, the twist comes. A reckless tackle, studs colliding, pain surging through his leg like fire. He crumples to the grass, clutching his knee, the crowd's roar turning to a gasp. The stretcher comes. The cameras zoom. The headlines write themselves before he's even left the pitch. Baleba injured. United's gamble at risk. The weeks that follow are darker than any 90 minutes on the pitch. Crutches, sleepless nights, the slow torture of rehab. The questions grow louder. Was he worth it? Is this another star broken by Old Trafford's curse? Alone in the gym, sweat dripping onto silent floors. He asks himself the same, but then, in the silence, he finds something. Anger at first. Then resolve. The fire that carried him from dirt pitches in Lille to the theater of dreams does not die in a training room. It grows. Every rep, every stretch, every painful step back is fuel. He is not done. He cannot be eaten. Months later, when he returns, the stadium greets him with a roar that feels different. Not the roar of expectation, but of respect. They know what he's endured. They know the fight it took to return. The ball finds him again, and though his touch is cautious at first, his spirit is not. He plays with a new steel, sharper than before. Less about proving he belongs, more about proving he cannot be broken. The climax comes on a night heavy with meaning. A European tie, under the lights, where legends are made. The game is brutal, balanced on a knife's edge. In the final minutes, the ball breaks loose in midfield. He sees it, he lunges, he wins it. And with a surge of strength, he drives forward, threading the pass that splits the defense. The goal comes. The stadium erupts. His teammates engulf him. His name thunders through the night. When the whistle blows, he doesn't raise his arms in triumph. He just closes his eyes and lets the sound wash over him. Because he knows. This is not the end. This is a beginning. The ink on the contract gave him money. The pitch gave him something else: scars, fire, belief. He has been tested, broken, rebuilt. And now, he carries not just the weight of 100,000 a week, but the hope of millions who see in him a spark of something greater. As he leaves the pitch, sweat dripping, the roar still echoing, a thought lingers in the air like smoke. At Manchester United, stories are never finished. They only ever begin again, and so, Baleba's journey continues. The fight to prove, to rise, to etch his name into the fabric of a club that demands nothing less than immortality. Because here, in the theater of dreams, ink is just the start. What comes after is everything, and that's where we'll leave him tonight. But stay tuned, because the next story is already writing itself. The rivalries, the battles, the moments that will define not just a player, but a legend in the making. If you thought the signature was dramatic, wait until you see what comes after.